Hello, welcome, and welcome to this meditation session, which is meditation's also meant to be a deep welcoming to yourself. That you are being welcomed, all of you, into your awareness, into your attention, into your body, into this time and place here. All of you is allowed to be here, is welcomed. And the welcome is so big in meditation, sitting down to meditate, closing the eyes, that maybe, just maybe, it's okay to forget yourself. Forget yourself in the terms of your usual preoccupations about yourself and judgments about yourself and usual orientations about your needs and responsibilities. And in other words, it could be seen as kind of a vacation from self. And the activity of the mind that's preoccupied with self is put to rest for a while. And the topic for today is emptiness, which is related to the topic of not self. And the teaching of not self evokes a lot of self in people, a lot of protesting, and that there can't be no self, so that this is crazy that the Buddhists say so. And but what I'd like to propose is that to ask the question, is there or is there not a self, is not actually a Buddhist question. The Buddha actually specifically discourages people from that very question, those two questions. And it's kind of like asking, if you're employed, is there work or is there not work? And if you say there is work, it might imply there's always work. 24/7, there's work to be done. There's work. Because that's the only option. There is or there is not. The other option is there work. One would say, yes, there is when I'm at work. There is during my work hours. And when I'm not at my work, I have a job, a very fortunate job. I don't have to take it home with me. And there's no work. Then there's just, the domestic tasks. There's, my time off. Is there not fear? Yes, there's fear. But that doesn't imply there's fear all the time. It's not is or is not. It's sometimes there's fear. When the conditions come together in a certain way, there's fear. Other times there's not. Is there not a self? Is not an interesting question. Maybe there's a kind of self sometimes, and other times it's not there. And in meditation, it's a time for a profound vacation, a profound resting of that part of the mental processing that's organized around self, selfing, ideas of self, self and others, that it's possible to put that to rest temporarily without betraying the self, without claiming there is no self or feeling like we've abandoned ourselves. It's a profound way of taking a vacation, of resting, of experiencing something radically different that you can carry back with you into your life, into understanding something about the nature of the construction of self, the uses of self in which we live our life with. So to assume a meditation posture, part of the opportunity in this posture in which you're going to welcome yourself fully is to have a posture of confidence. In Zen practice, where there was a lot of emphasis on the posture, it was literally a posture of confidence. And even if you didn't feel confident, the posture brought some along anyway. And the posture of confidence that's more effective, more capable, more something there into which to welcome all of who you are. A confidence that can hold all the challenges and difficulties and emotions that move through you, rather than having a posture that's giving in to how you're feeling. Have a posture that's bigger than how you're feeling, so it can hold how you are. Maybe with the chest a little bit more open and confident. Maybe there's a way of drawing back your head a little bit and lifting the back of the head where the head meets the vertebrae of the neck. So the back of the head gets lifted, and maybe the chin falls down a little bit more towards the chest, just a little bit. A neck of confidence. And to do something with your hands, where the hands themselves are placed in a confident position. For some people, that's having the hands face down on the thighs. And there are other ways also, but a posture of confidence. And then one of the reasons to take a few long breaths at the beginning is to do those breaths as an expression of confidence. Here I am. I will breathe into this time and place in a fullness of being. Full breathing, relaxing on the exhale. And then letting the breathing return to normal. And to feel anywhere in the body where there's holding and tension, maybe feeling it on the inhale, relaxing on the exhale. And if tension doesn't relax, soften just beyond the edges of the tension. Feeling the thinking mind as you breathe in, and as you breathe out, to soften the thinking mind. relaxing the thinking mind and settling into the confident body. It may be as if the awareness is like water flowing downward. Let your awareness flow down into your torso, to where it's most comfortable to feel the movements of breathing. Breathing in and breathing out. Experiencing the sensations of breathing in your torso, in the belly, the chest, diaphragm. Noticing what sensations of breathing occur by themselves without you willing them or making them happen. The particular sensations that, in a certain way, who you are as a self, whatever that is not actively involved. Almost as if those sensations are there without the self, just sensations. And as you're aware of breathing, as you know it or feel it or watch the breathing, is there any feeling or sense of place inside that is the doer of mindfulness? Is there any subtle location from which you're doing awareness? A place of a little bit of a gathering together of energy or tension, pressure. A little location where there's some emotion. That comes along with the doer, the watcher, being the feeler of it all. And if there is, on the exhale, soften, relax the sensations connected to self, to being the doer, the experiencer. Relax on the exhale. On the inhale, allow those sensations of self to open, to evaporate, to spread out wide. Relaxing and releasing. And then sensing, feeling the sensations of breathing, but allowing that sensing to be in the very spot where the sensations occur. So sensing can occur free of self. No reference to me, myself, and mine. Just sensing. As you're aware, what comes into awareness before the self gets recruited. What nature of knowing, sensing, feeling occurs independent of self and self-concept ideas, without activating that location of the doer or the experiencer. Relaxing into the awareness that is natural, doing itself, allowing awareness to do its own awareing without any need for you to do awareness, to do mindfulness. All you need to do is allow. Get out of the way. Being aware how awareness is empty of self. Sensing is empty of self. How self is empty of self. How the absence of self and selfing is a vacation. A relief. An awareness where whatever is left of self, whatever sensations and presence, contraction there is of self, selfing, where it can evaporate, dissolve into this vast, confident experience of emptiness of self. for a couple of minutes, harmonize yourself with emptiness. Align yourself. Float in the current of all that is empty of self, the vast emptiness. And as we come to the end of this sitting, there's a way in which kindness, warmth, friendliness can flow better in the absence of self-preoccupation. For these next minutes, to trust the kindness, the goodwill that can flow free, openly, when there's not the fear or self or needs interfering with the free flow of love. And to have an open heart, open to this wide, wondrous, wonderful, suffering human world. Keep your heart open. Keep that selfless care and kindness. Kindness which is not about you, but about goodwill itself. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be free. Thank you. and welcome to this fourth talk on the doors of liberation. And today the topic is a third door, and which is the door of emptiness. And for people who've been around Buddhism and Buddhist teachings for some time, it's recognized that there are sometimes emptiness is held up as a really a phenomenal religious state, phenomenal religious reality, truth, that is, has almost like a sacred dimension or a very meaningful place in our life. And this is especially true in schools of Buddhism like Zen and Mahayana Buddhism, but also in Theravada Buddhism and insight practice that we do here at IMC. And, I did last week, the whole topic for the whole week was emptiness, so it's been covered to some degree. And, but as a door of liberation, this is when emptiness functions as a portal to liberation. Emptiness is kind of like a place where we can release fully, relax fully, let go fully. And where it's so fully where we don't even want to say that we or I am relaxing fully or releasing fully, because the very subtle way in which I am the one who's a doer, doing something, actually takes us out of alignment with this wondrous and wonderful experience of being alive, present, without self-preoccupation of any kind. And when I was 17, I was traveling through parts of Eastern Europe that time, communist Europe, kind of like in a Volkswagen van with 4 other friends, and we were kind of a little commune on wheels, and I suppose it was 1971, and I remember, and I was sitting in the back, and looking out the window at very rural mountain areas, sparsely populated, and I was kind of just meditatively, I guess, absorbed in the peacefulness of it, just looking out the window and driving along, no worries, no cares, no preoccupations, and absorbed into the landscape of it all. And then at some point, something happened in that absorbed in just the landscape. I wasn't the doer of it, but just from one moment to the next, I kind of woke up. It was this sudden clarity of fullness, of it was like the clouds it wasn't cloudy, I was beforehand, but it was like as if the clouds parted. And there was a whole different level of peace and clarity. And what led to that now in retrospect, after looking back at it now, I was so absorbed into simplicity of just there, in the activity of what I was doing, just the scenery. I completely had forgotten about myself. Completely, I was not me, myself, and mine was not part of the picture. They were just kind of I was aligned with, in harmony with, attuned to the world around me without self operating whatsoever. And in that state, something let go. And in that letting go, I was there. I was, I was fully there. And then I came back in a certain way within seconds of that, because it was so startlingly amazing to have this sudden experience of peace and clarity. So this idea of the possibility of being fully engaged, fully present, and aligned with this place where the selfing is not operating, selfing is taking a vacation, where we've all self-preoccupation, all self-orientation, even the subtlest feelings of I'm the one who's being aware, I'm the one who's present, any kind of coagulation, coalescing of energy around something we might call a self is dissolved. And we're aligned, we're in harmony with this kind of experience. And and uh, and and because this experience is empty of self, this profound sense of taking anything as having substance, as being mine or me or for me or against me, then something happens where the doors of emptiness open. And because we're aligned with it, we can move into it, move through it, step in, fall into it, wake up into it. The door opens. Maybe the door is really, really large. And it's not that anything happens to us. It's just the doors open wide, wide, wide. And the light comes in. The clarity comes. Something different, very different happens. And so the door of liberation. And the key thing I wanted to emphasize is a few things. It's not, this whole experience is not concerned with the philosophy of self, the metaphysics of self. Is there or is there not a self? That can be for other people to be concerned with. When you're doing meditation, you have much, much more interesting things to do than to be preoccupied about is there or is there not a self. What's more better to do is to really be present for our direct experience, to know it, feel it fully. And if there is a feeling of self, a sensation of self, a concentration of some kind of energy around something we might feel as a self, that's worthy of attention. That's worthy of being held gently, mindfully. Because what we learn is that all coalescings, concentrations, all gathering together of energy, all kind of orientations around self, is something which is a mental activity. It's not an existential reality. The way we experience it, the way we know it, the way it's constructed in the moment. And it's a marvelous thing to have that go on vacation. It's a marvelous thing to put all that to rest, to let it dissolve, evaporate, and to start feeling and sensing that just to be alive is enough. Just to be alive, and without that sense of self, without that self-preoccupation and concern. And not only just to be alive with that, just start, there's a sense that as we keep practicing, then keep letting go, keep dissolving, keep getting clearer and clearer here, that something very profound inside of us is coming into a kind of a harmony with it, a kind of an alignment, a kind of in the current of it. Now we're floating in that this is a home. We're at home in it. And we're not doing anything that ruffles the waters. We're not doing anything that re-coagulates our experience. Everything can flow. Everything is settled. Everything is peaceful. And so there's something inside begins feeling a deep trust. Or maybe it's more realistic to say that slowly all the places of mistrust that we have, that sometimes the mistrust, the fear, is often the very thing, the reason why people protest the teachings of not self. Because it seems frightening. They don't trust the idea of not being there, take care of themselves. Of course we should take care of ourselves, hopefully confidently. But it doesn't mean that we have to always be holding on to that. If you have a lifesaver that saved you in the water, and then you spend the rest of the time on land carrying the lifesaver, that's unnecessary. It might actually be a hindrance. So the idea is that at some point something dissolves, lets go. There's no more mistrust. There's no more fear. And as we kind of keep breathing, keep sitting, keep being present, and we become aligned with that which is clearly not self. And then, maybe, just maybe, at a time that's not your time, it's a time, a place, situation where you can't make it happen or predict it, maybe the door of emptiness opens for you. And that makes the world of difference. So, so the emptiness. And so that's what I wanted to say today. And maybe because there's a couple of minutes left, I've been wanting to make an announcement, and so I'll do it now. And maybe it's also kind of a nice pairing of this topic of emptiness, which was first introduced to it in a strong way, in a meaningful way, in a very personal, experiential way for me, that was very impactful in when I did my Zen practice, and particularly my Zen practice at one of the three Zen centers. San Francisco Zen Center has three centers, one in Marin County called Green Gulch Zen Center, and I'm going to be going back there to teach a 2-week retreat in the end of March, and it's one of the rare times that I'm going to teach as a full Zen retreat, a 2-week Zen retreat. But the reason I want to tell you all is that it's going to be teaching about Zen practice, shikantaza, just sitting in the way they do in Zen, informed by insight practice. And to see what this insight practice that we have can really enhance and support the very essence of Zen practice. And maybe a little bit you got a taste today or this week about the sign list, the wish list, and the emptiness, and how insight practice leads to that. In a similar way, it leads to this profound way that the Zen practice is lived. And anyway, so if you're interested in that, you can go to the San Francisco Zen Center's website, in particular there for Green Gulch Farm, the center. And it's a little bit hard to find it in the website there, but if you persist, or if you type in my name in the search, you might be easiest to find it. And it is a Zen retreat that'll be maybe held in a softer way that than Zen is usually held and presented. Kind of a blending of some of the ways we are at Insight Retreat Center and some of the ways we can be in Zen practice. And in the middle of those 2 weeks, there'll be a 5-day Zen sesshin, which is more of an more intense kind of dipping into the whole world of Zen practice. So, so thank you very much. And so we have one more talk tomorrow to finish on this 3 doors of liberation. Thank you.